In today's reading, we get a sudden peek at what's been going on back in Jerusalem. Here we hear from James. Crosses filled our land, and corpses hang on them. There's a stink among us, and the grief of the people screams to heaven. In the year since his appointment as governor of Judea, Antoninus Felix has sent his legions bloody through the countryside, catching and killing the bands of men that hide in the hills. He classifies them as bandits. Perhaps they are. They steal. They make travel a dangerous enterprise. Insurrectionists, Felix calls them too, and that they are for sure. They hate Rome. They hate the Roman tax. They hate the rich who grow fat in the shadow of Rome. They hate every Jewish collaborator. For those who serve Rome, they say, serve a God beside God. But the poor, the peasants, the lowest order of priests, the broken in our land, the crushed, the hungry, these believe what the insurrectionists say. Poor Jews know in their bones the afflictions of Rome. They send their sons to join the bandits, and their sons are crucified. I've heard it said of Felix that he exercises authority like a king, but blinks and cringes like a slave. When we are ruled by obsequious dogs, there's no honor anymore. There's a stink, and nothing is sure. Oh, let the rich man weep, and those who make friends with the world, let them howl because of the miseries soon to befall them. For the friends of this world are foes of God, and riches rot, and gold will rust, and the rust will eat their flesh like fire. That is what I say. I say that those who live today in earthly luxury are larding their hearts for the slaughter tomorrow. This morning, I walked outside the city by the way of the garden gate. I walked with my eyes cast down, my whole mind filled with solemn thoughts. But then I became aware of a rapid panting, and I looked and saw that I was passing Golgotha. On that little hill, there are stout posts planted, each awaiting the crossbeam and the body that will die on it. But one post already had its beam, and from that beam hung its body. The panting I heard came from the breast of a young lad crucified. A boy, bleeding from the Roman scourging, his blood baptizing the post, his thin arms bound by thick rope to the crossbeam, his head pressed back against the wood so that his mouth hung open, panting. A mere boy, his throat a column of ivory purity. I went and stood in front of him and began to pray in a low voice. Soon the panting stopped, and I paused in prayer. The lad had rolled his head to the side. He was gazing at me with stricken eyes. I returned his gaze and was caught, locked eye to eye and bound to sorrow. No longer could I be a bystander. Who are you? I said. Tell me your name and I will lift it to the Lord. At first he only looked at me, but then he said, I know you. He closed his eyes and then opened them again and murmured, James the Just you are. My father always loved you. The lad contrived to smile. He smiled at me and performed another endless blink of his beautiful eyes. He knows me? How does he know me? When have our paths crossed? I said, "What's your father's name?" I waited, then I said, "What is your name?" Slowly the boy drew breath. Smiling still, he whispered, "We watched when that Roman soldier was tearing sacred pages of Torah." He breathed a while, then said, "We watched when he threw Torah into the fire. We pledged our lives, my father and I." "Please," I said again, "what is your name?" I feared the speed of time and the dying, the immediate dying. The lad was leaving me. I pressed my hands together and begged, "Please, child, tell me your father's name." Once more, he labored to draw breath, causing the blood on his stomach to glisten. Then, as that difficult wind escaped his lips, he whispered, "Patience, James, the Lord is coming." The boy lifted his beautiful eyes to the horizon and smiled a welcoming smile. His face bloomed with the smiling, and suddenly he shouted, "See, can you see him? Oh, James, the judge is standing at the doors." While he was still smiling, the flames in his eyes were extinguished. And he died, and he did not breathe again. I took his feet into my hands. I laid my face against his young and unencumbered ankles, and I wept.